The majesty of the Himalayas makes believers out of atheists. When silence collides, who are we to signify? The seasons have changed. My distance shall be gauged. Pain, they say, is temporary. Victory lasts forever.
The competitors are now decimated to quite an extent.
Raid is an event which is run over a terrain where people become very, very superstitious. I don't know. It's fait accompli.
Stupidity. Total nuts.
They're total mad hats. They curse every time that why are they doing it, yet they come again and again.
Exhaust braking, one out wire going here, that's fine. But two tires gone. Everything broke, man. If I start, I can't tell you where to stop.
The bumper got stuck into the tire.
Broke the axle.
The toll is actually on the machine now.
The Raid the Himalaya is one of the toughest motorsports events in the world. To stand at the top of the Rohtang Pass, brave the raid, and come out surviving its battering is winning in its own right. Because the Raid the Himalaya is also a battle of man and machine versus Mother Nature. And when you lock horns with what Mother Nature throws at you, the Murphy's Law bites. Whatever can will go wrong.
Man, mountain, machine, the combination of 3Ms put together. And what I thought about it, it's totally different. It's not only a rally or a race, it's basically deals with a lot of trust and responsibility and respect.
It is just you, rally car, and your service team. दायरा बहुत छोटा हो गया.
No matter how fit you are or unfit you are, it is going to affect you.
The raid is run in areas where the weather gods tend to get upset without much notice. When you're stranded in the back of Beyond, there's not much you can do besides waiting for nature's fury to subside.
We left Gaza at 2 in the morning, and when we were coming up the pass, we knew it was snowing because it was snowing in Losar itself. Started climbing Kunzum. Climb was okay, the snow I didn't have it. As I was coming down the other side, about more than halfway down, I was finding it very difficult to keep my car in check because it was sliding all over the place. And there were a few times when I had narrow misses as I was sliding towards the edge. I picked up the radio and I told Vijay, I'm uncomfortable. I don't think I should be doing this. None of us should be doing this right now. Because that's when I thought I had reached my limit. You mentioned limit, and the first thing that we said on the radio was, if you're not comfortable, stop where you are. So somewhere we realized there are limits to our. And it's very important to do that because foolishness can cost you a lot.
Over the years, there have been many times when the raid has been held up or altogether snowed out because Mother Nature decided to charm the rallyists. We spoke to some of the old hands and asked them to recall stories of the years gone by.
2004, we were struck by a blizzard when the rally was on its last leg from Pang to Manali. And it came out of the blue literally because it was a perfectly clear sky in the morning. The rally was flagged off. And by 11 o'clock, we were caught in a raging blizzard in Barlacha. Once again there, the adventure trial cars, which were two-wheel drive cars, and in those days we never insisted on snow chains, started skidding and obviously blocking the road. Within an hour, the organizers realized that this was really going to lead to a major crisis, because spending the night in a snowstorm is really not what is required. So these cars were parked to the side. The 4x4s loaded the passengers inside, the drivers and co-drivers, and finally we proceeded down to Patsyo, and the 4x4s ran relays in which to pull the people out of Barlacha, and we evacuated I think close to 300 people that night, through the night in a raging blizzard. Himalayan Motorsport, marshals coordinated it through their own radio network when the Indian Army refused. They said you'll have to wait till tomorrow. By tomorrow, most of the guys would have been frozen to death.
I can remember Varila last year against Snowden, right? We had to cancel that stage. I had a harrowing time there. I nearly, I had a big slide on one of the bends on the snow, and I was about a few feet from the edge. And then there comes another marshal behind me, and he rams into my car. And then I slide again, and I'm an inch away from certain death, and that still plays on my mind, when I come back to the raid, that's one thing that hits me, that I could have died that day on Varilla. Because an inch away from certain death, there was a fall which was at least 500 feet or even more, and nothing could have saved me that day.
2005 में जब बर्फ़ पड़ी थी तो उस टाइम बहुत ज़्यादा बर्फ़ हो गई थी, तो लोग क्या नाम है पांग में बहुत फंसे हुए थे सब। किस तरह से करते करते उस टाइम हरी सिंह थे, उन्होंने काफ़ी गाड़ियाँ निकाली थी, तो सब परसों पहुँचे थे मुश्किल से। और उस टाइम तो ये हाल था कि इतनी बर्फ़ थी कि आर्मी के ट्रक 4x4 वो भी स्लिप मार रहे थे, और काफ़ी गाड़ियों के जब सीज हो गए, इंजन फट गए, बर्फ़ जम गई थी पूरी, तो उसमें काफ़ी वो आता, मतलब देखने को एक अलग चीज़ मिली थी, वो अभी तक दोबारा नहीं है।
I'm standing at the top of Kunzum Pass, around 13,500 feet above mean sea level. The Kunzum Pass is one of the most treacherous climbs out of the 11 mountain passes traversed this year in the world's highest motorsport battle arena. My name is Abhishek Naren Singh. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the North by Northwest special. Times Now's coverage of the 16th Raid to Himalaya. Let the all-terrain rally tire roll.
About the number of cars and bikes that are expected.
A rally of the magnitude of the Raid to Himalaya cannot run without support. And the raid over the years has had support from two entities that remain understated. Yet the support they provide is invaluable.
Army, right from the beginning, has played a major role in, in facilitating stops in, in small isolated areas or places where there was no hotels, where they provided communications, medical attention, road space for the rally. The days we run through to Leh, the convoys are stopped to allow us through. So, Army's contribution has been plenty, and then to add to it, Army has always been putting in, in excess of 5 or 6 teams, and good in competition right in the thick of it. So I would say that without them we wouldn't be where we are.
Marshals are the backbone of the rally, right? No marshals, no rally, right? An average of marshals doesn't sleep for more than 4 or 5 hours or 3 hours a day. The marshals hardly eat, hardly sleep, drive long distances throughout, right? But because over the years, the raid marshals have become a family. It's the bonhomie that brings them together. Marshals have saved people's lives when people have gone off the road, right? The doctors that are with the marshals are also a huge part of the marshal group, right? So, no marshal, no rally, as simple as that.
Like the mighty Himalayas that are its home, the raid has seen many changes over the years. It is now at a juncture where once again, change is imminent. And the mountain gods willing, it shall come to pass.
Traffic management, road space are all becoming an issue. So we have to, if we have to look for alternatives. And, we're looking at, areas where we can go and do maybe tests, maybe stages which are well away from traffic lines, so that there's no clash with local populations, and we're not, the sport is not intruding on anyone and not stepping on anyone's feet. So, so that it be a mixture of TSD plus competitive driving plus some tests. That's what we are looking at now,
In 1985, we were completely mesmerized by the videos of the Paris-Dakar as it ran then. And of course, the Dakar over the years has also changed in quite many ways. We are going to have to use smaller areas for definitely the marathon nature of the event will be scrunched. It cannot be that you're driving 400 kilometers a day. To get the same level of excitement, you can do it even in 150 kilometers a day. Things have to be better planned. And what I predict actually for India, if the rallying scene is to survive for the marathon events, is that we will have to amalgamate the extreme and the adventure trial where it is possible that the extreme stages are extremely small, short, but quite technical, and yet the transport sections would be run as a TST event. So this will be a mixture of both. It will put tremendous pressure on the drivers and the navigators.
Leg 3 of the 16th Raid de Himalaya was a loop around Kaza. The initial part of the first and the third stages was fast and flowing tarmac converted into a DZFZ out of safety concerns, and then on to sets of free-flowing straights in the climb to Langsa, Comic and beyond, ending in a combination of rough patches of broken tarmac, gravel, water crossings and huge dips at Demul Junction.
They're not rough, they're very fast, very high. The altitudes are varying, starting from Kaza, which is itself at about 13,000 feet. Those stages take you right up to 16,000, 17,000 feet. So pretty much a lack of oxygen, and stages are very fast, winding, dangerous. They did have that speed zones to curtail the level of danger, but yet those stages are fast, fun and actual high mountain rally stages.
Suresh Rana's team Maruti Grand Vitara held the lead, followed by Abhishek Mishra, who was leading the team Thunderbolt charge. Captain ABS Gill's Gypsy was third and he was pushing hard. The stages were highly technical and the tricky descent to the flying finish ate up many a brake pad. Not conducive at high speeds. But the whole idea of the Raid de Himalaya is to be non-conducive.
काफ़ी अच्छी स्टेज थी इसमें, 32 किलोमीटर की थी। इसमें हमने जो सेकंड अभिषेक मिश्रा थे उनके ऊपर हमने 37 सेकंड की लीड ले ली है, तो अभी हमारे पास 6.5 मिनट की लीड है।
Car has taken a lot of beating. We'll go cool on the stage.
You were talking about any untoward incidents. So yeah, about 200 meters before the flying finish, we are descending down into the flying finish, and the car is cutting off at 5th gear, probably touching about 100, 110, and there's a huge big boulder right ahead of us, and we didn't have any option but to hit it. It was gonna say watch out before I managed to say wow. The car was up in the air, and I could see the look on the marshal's face, because if we hadn't landed properly, we would have landed on the marshal's car, which was because the flying finish was coming in, and then there was a hairpin right immediately after the flying finish. So it was a scary moment.
The wary saw no respite, and the fear of falling by the wayside at the slightest show of weakness hung in the air. The raid would claim its scalps, and it would do so ruthlessly.
We're halfway through the Raid de Himalaya, and the back markers of leg 3 are just passing through. The raid, as always, has taken its toll, and some have fallen by the wayside. There are 3 more days to go, and it only gets worse from here on.
The raid was to run on the unforgiving Losar-Gramfu route in leg 4. It was to be a run that would put the wary to a test that not all would pass. But the weather gods had other plans. Our day began ahead of the rally as usual, and we followed the rally marshals in the wee hours of the morning to brave most of the Kunzum Pass in the darkness. But the pass had other plans, and everything was covered in a sheet of white. Till Kunzum Devi saw fit, none would pass, and so the Raid de Himalaya, marshals, medical staff, service and press crews all were stuck on both sides of the pass till the marshals gave orders to move on.
तो गाड़ी ऐसे गई ना कि बिल्कुल एज के इतना पास से निकल रहे थे और सीधा एज नीचे है, और रात का टाइम वैसे भी तो दिख नहीं रहा इतना, ठीक है। तो फिर मैंने बोला यार कि आई एम अनकंफर्टेबल, ठीक है. एंड जिस तरह हो रहा था, हमें इतनी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है तो रैली कहाँ से आएगी ऐसे भैया? रैली तो पीछे रुकेगी. Then we said we'll wait. फिर उजाला हुआ, स्नोफॉल में थोड़ा फर्क पड़ा. जब वो कम हुई ना, जब I was the first guy, I said चलो ठीक है मैं निकलता हूँ. अब मैं आया नीचे पहाड़ से. फिर मेरे को देख के और लोगों ने भी धीरे धीरे करके. जब मैं वापस आया दाचा में, और बाद में भी लोगों ने बोला सर अगर आप नहीं बोलते ना तो पता नहीं कोई मर जाता आज. ठीक है, आप रुक गए, आपको सुनते सब रुक गए. ये एक्चुअल फैक्ट है.
Nothing great happened at Kunzum. The snow was coming down when we started climbing from Losar, and Hari and me had already known that there would be a problem on top, especially on the descent. But also from a previous experience in 2004 and 2007 when the raid was trapped in snow, everybody carries snow chains. So it was not the competitor but the marshals, a couple of them who were ill-equipped and not carrying the snow chains, which got into trouble. And once they were stuck in the road, the rally just had to wait till those cars were cleared out.
I'm standing just below the top of Kunzum Pass at a height of around 13,500 feet above mean sea level. And as you can see, we've been hit by the winter's first snow. The convoy of raid rally cars is just passing us by, and leg 4 has been delayed till they get to Batal and get further information about what is to be done in the journey forward. We are waiting for the traffic to clear, and only then can we descend down till Batal. Let's just hope Kunzum Mata blesses our journey and we get there in one piece. Manjeev and Trigun went down to get the rally cars up, and the raid made its slow but steady descent into Batal.
Karan, what's happening?
Well, raid at its best. We stuck here. What raid is known for?
A core team, the likes of Hari, Trigun, Indeep, Rana Sidhu, Vijay was of course the first one over the pass, so he's giving a constant feedback. So all of that put together, helped me decide to bring the rally up to Kunzum. When we reached Kunzum again, 12 o'clock became the cutout, and the issue now was we had downhills on both sides. So if downhill to Batal is going to be treacherous, so is the one going back. But anyways, we are there and say we'll hold the rally and try and push it further. So by about 10:30, quarter to 11, finally, the traffic starts to move. So in the end, even in a day like that where we could not compete, there was a sense of satisfaction. You had, conquered adversity and made sure that the event carries on to the schedule it has.
See, the plans are definitely gone in for the toss. The stages ahead after this are not gypsy stages at all. They're huge climbs, smooth tarmacs. The Vitaras are going to kill it. The bigger engines are going to kill it over there. So I guess we'll just have to wait and watch.
After the day's adventures of the third kind, the raid finally made it to freezing Camp Sarchu.
Sarchu, the main issue was logistics, administration and service teams, fuel, keeping yourself warm. These things took more, they were of heavier weightage than rallying, Survival, main issue at Sarchu, rallying, okay, no problem. Anybody can rally in the morning, if you're good to go. But no rest at night, cold feet, everything cold, service teams just basically trying to survive. So Sarchu was pretty tough that way.
Leg 5 was another day. It would come with its own set of challenges. For the moment, there was rest. Leg 5 was a mammoth day, 105 kilometers of competitive, which would entail braving the Gata loops and the Nakila Pass, and then on to the fast and beautiful but wily technical stages from Debring to Daat and back. But once again, the raid had other plans, and this happened. Veteran rally driver and 9-time Raid the Himalaya champion Suresh Rana hit a triple caution corner really hard and could not turn in time, and lost control of his car, falling straight into a khud.
ऐसा नहीं है कि हम कोई प्रेशर में चला रहे थे, बिल्कुल ईज ऑफ होकर चला रहे थे. तो बस वो फर्स्ट कॉर्नर, एक तो मैं विजिबिलिटी मान रहा हूँ इसकी सारी की, मतलब वो कॉर्नर नज़र नहीं आया. इतनी फास्ट थे, हम 140 के आसपास वहाँ पर टच कर रहे थे. तो मतलब कॉल भी थोड़ी लेट आई और कोई टाइम ही नहीं था उस नेक्स्ट कॉल को मतलब करने के लिए. तो
Abhishek Mishra, running second, fell prey to the same corner, and he too totaled his car, ending his brilliant run. The top 2 Grand Vitaras had been claimed by the raid.
we saw the marshals running around here. There was some commotion happening, and when we approached that place, and suddenly we saw these two Vitaras lying on the roof, and that was pretty scary to see that, you know. And of course, thankfully the drivers and the navigators are safe enough. Yeah, you know, it just gets that, you know, that fear gets into you and it forces you to lift off, and the reality kicks in, you know. And yeah, so it took a few minutes after that to get back to shape and say, yeah, let's push it now. It's okay. Yeah, so yeah, but you know, that's the reality of the sport, and that's how it is.
So the entire leaderboard changed on the 5th. One felt good for the gypsies and the gypsy drivers who were good, were driving well, but were being outpaced by better machinery, you know. So, and then we found in the next minutes, within my visual in fact, I see Vitara come and park up, and then the navigator pushing it and, you know, running in, hopping in, and then just rolling forward and then stopping. So we immediately said gear phas gaya, you know. That's what we realized, that's what's happening. Sure enough, turned out to be Baba stuck in 5th gear, you know. So all 3 Vitaras out in one day. So day 5 changed the whole dynamic.
After the morning's pleasantries, the raid moved on. But once they hit the flat stretches of Debring, it was all left behind. The rally cars flew through the stages, and the scramble began for the top spot. Captain AVS Gill, who was running third, lost his way owing to trouble with the navigation equipment due to freezing temperatures.
We lost our way. Our navigation system, they crashed, and we lost 4 minutes on the day 5th.
Colonel Shakti Bajaj, who was running fourth and was expected to take the lead, could do little to hold on to it as the formidable team of Amartej Bhuwal and Nakul Mehndiratta, driving for Team Thunderbolt, shone in the stages and were first to exit at Sarsu camp. Captain Gill came in after that, and Karan Jung with co-driver Gunpreet Sohani were running third.
Here navigation hazard is too much. People lost 6-7 minutes in the stages because the tracks were suddenly, you know, turning into a kacha, then entering a riverbed, then climbing up the mountain. So it's a very composite, very difficult stage for the navigator. People lost a lot of time when we did lose a fair amount of time in those 2 stages.
The last stretch of the 16th Raid to Himalaya, the final run before the warmth and comfort of civilization that most people so lovingly embrace. But before that were 3 grueling stages, 2 of which would be run on a brand new route, without an extensive recce. The first stage ran from Camp Sarchu to end at Patsio. It was fast and technical, but the real test was the next 2 stages. We were waiting at Darcha where the stage ended. TVS Racing's RTR 450 piloted by Nataraj R was the first vehicle out of the stages. The Bangalore rider had taken the raid head-on and had come out strong. Team Thunderbolt colours stood proud on the Maruti Gypsy that was the first car out of the stages. In the hands of Amartej Bhuwal and co-driver Nakul Mehndiratta, that battered machine had finished the raid after 4 long years. And it had done it in style.
Start of day 6, the Polaris was running a minute behind us. Gill was running 2.5 minutes behind us. There were 3 stages for the day. Well, the 17-kilometer stage started, and it was the most exciting stage ever for me, at least as a navigator, because that's when I saw Robbie at his 100% best. He did not leave the car even for a second on its own. He was on top of his game. And by the end of that stage, in a 17-kilometer stage, he had covered 20 seconds on the guy behind him and about 1.5 minutes on the guy two positions before us. And that's where we knew that we were back in the game. Still, the Polaris was still about 2.5 minutes ahead of us. And the last stage, you know, we are starting up at the lineup, and I'm just telling him, I said, Robbie, just don't think about anything else but lifting that first overall prize at the prize distribution. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I feel that this is it. It's going to happen this year. And surely enough, God was on our side, and the Polaris was standing 3 kilometers into the stage. It was a very funny feeling. At one point, I felt, as a human being and a friend of Raj, I felt bad for him. But at the same time, I was really happy for ourselves. And it was amazing. It was the best experience of our lives, I guess.
Captain AVS Gill came in second, followed by another Gypsy in Thunderbolt colours in the hands of Karan Jung. For For us at times now, the Raid de Himalaya is an annual test of production skill in the face of adversity. And after all these years, it has now become nothing less than a pilgrimage. We're all Raid fanboys here, and so as we leave you with some major Raid loving, the old adage comes to mind: what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
The Raid for me is an annual pilgrimage, right? For me, it's like paying homage, right? I come here year on year, right? Because it's something I love.
Yeah, it's something I can't explain. It's from within, you know. So, like me, as long as I have my hands and my feet, I don't think I'll ever miss it. So, this is something that it's an addiction.
It's just something that cannot be explained. It's you have to be a competitor to understand it. You know, I mean, we all joke around, we sit around, and then after the raid, we're like, I'm not coming back. You know, whatever. And like 3 months later, it's like, okay, so what bike are you using this year? So it's an addiction. You know, it's you come here, it cannot be put in words. It's something that you have to do every year.
Well, it's a part of my life. I mean, like it's in my system now. I mean, if a raid doesn't happen, I'll probably feel sick, you know, maybe, yeah.
It's the mecca of Indian rallying or Indian motorsport as far as I'm concerned, right? I have been to many rallies. Nothing even comes close to the raid. Nothing. When it comes to sheer bravado, and if I can use the word, thing beats the raid.